Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Zikr is of paramount importance for the son of Adam. It allows the soul of the person to visit the world ghaib, or the invisible world. Practicing zikr is to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for this connection to be effective, certain conditions must be respected. The first condition refers to the following verse: Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wabtaqu ilayhi wasila. Surah 5 verse 35. O believers, fear Allah and seek the way to get closer to Him and strive for His cause. Perhaps you will be among those who succeed. The zikr, or chanting of the names of Allah, or the salawat ala nabi, alone or in a group, produces intense light that can promote the spiritual elevation of the disciple, but they can also, in some cases, cause him some difficulties. It is therefore essential to be affiliated with a mystical master or sheikh before embarking on the path of zikr. Indeed, the names to be chanted, the numbers to be used, the right moments are all elements that belongs to the spiritual science, a science that is not within the reach of everyone. Beyond these conditions and the orientation on what is allowed to perform as zikr, there is one that is exceptional. It is the salawat ala nabi, called Salatul Fatiha. It is certainly by far the best of the salawat. The regular zikr of this salawat provides the son of Adam with what he needs for the stability, tranquility, and balance of his soul. Ala bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Surah 13 verse 28. Surely, it is through the evocation of Allah that hearts become tranquilized. Without tranquility, the soul will not be able to visit the world ghaib. However, each soul has a specific need for light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has therefore differentiated the souls. Each soul has its own specificity, its own need for light. It is the soul's need for light that will determine the number of Salatul Fatiha to be chanted. This should be done on a regular basis in order to be sufficiently filled with light and be able to visit the world ghaib. We are in this case speaking of a specific number. For some people, it may be 12,000 Salatul Fatiha per day for 41 days. For others, it may be 36,000 Salatul Fatiha for 30 days. Others do not need a specific amount of light. The grace and the will of the mystical master are enough to fill the light deficit of the soul of the disciple. Hence the interest once again in affiliating with a mystical master who will be able to determine the specific number for each soul. Also, practicing the zikr of the Salatul Fatiha according to the used number can thus accumulate enough light to visit the world ghaib according to the used number and discover the many wonders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of these wonders is the Hadaratul Ilahiya, or the Council of Ministers of Allah, which is the topic of our talk today. The Hadaratul Ilahiya is held every week on the night of Thursday to Friday in the sixth heaven from midnight to 4 a.m. in the morning. Given the differences in time zones, the reference time is that of the country where the Qutb Zaman, or the most senior saint of the moment, resides. This rule is based on the fact that the Qutb Zaman plays a leading role in the Hadaratul Ilahiya. We will come back to this role in more detail later in our presentation. It is worth recalling three principles at this point that consecrate the predominance of the Salatul Fatiha over all other Salawat ala Nabi. The first principle is that no one can attend this divine assembly without the Salatul Fatiha as the basic zikr. Indeed, the mystical means of travel to the sixth heaven to attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya is fashioned from the light of the Salatul Fatiha. This means of travel is called Inayatul Rabbaniyu, which is a ball of light that envelops the traveler and transports him from the earth to the sixth heaven in a few seconds. It protects him from all kinds of dangers that can come from the wind, water, gas, meteorites, or any other natural element. However, it should be noted that this journey, completed in a few seconds with the Inayatul Rabbaniyu, would have lasted several thousand years if it was executed with the most sophisticated means of transportation available to mankind today. The second principle states that the person who wishes to attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya must acquire true spiritual powers. These powers will allow him, for example, to pass through walls, enter a closed room, cross rivers without getting wet, and many other so-called miraculous facts. Indeed, Allah says in the Quran, Ya mahshar al-jinni wal-ins, in istata'tum an tanfuzu min aqtari samawati wal-ardi, fanfuzu la tanfuzu illa bisultan. O people of jinn and men, if you can get out of the realm of the heavens and the earth, then do so, but you will not be able to come out of it except with the help of unlimited power. Surah 55, verse 33. The acquisition of such powers cannot be possible today without the regular zikr of the Salatul Fatiha. As for the third principle, the individual who aspires to attend Hadaratul Ilahiya also needs martaba, that is, a high rank, a high position in the hierarchy of men of God or saint, a status that allows one to be cited as being among the closest of Allah. To acquire this martaba, no matter what name of God is used, the one who uses the Salatul Fatiha will have predominance over all others. The reward of a single bead of Salatul Fatiha for the soul is immeasurable. The saint or wali who is going to attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya has thus succeeded in his spiritual training. His soul has been watered by the light of the Salatul Fatiha. Connected to his vital energy, he is stabilized, balanced, and tranquilized. He finds himself endowed with remarkable powers, such as the ability to pass through matter, to access the invisible world, and to communicate directly with the beings that live there. He is now ready to attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya. It takes place on the night of Thursday to Friday and starts at 12:30 in the morning. Depending on the speeches made, the subjects discussed, whether it is an extraordinary session or not, it ends at the earliest at 4 a.m., at the latest 5 a.m. These are the hours of the country of residence of the Qutb Zaman. The procedure manual of the Hadaratul Ilahiya provides for all the stages of this ascent to the assembly, from the notification of the invitation, the modalities of the ascent to the fourth heaven, the double control carried out at the entrance of the Zawiyah of the Great Hidden Pole. Then comes the entrance to the meeting room, the installation of the guest in his numbered seat, the conduct and the end of the session, and finally, the return of the holy man to the world, here, below, or Shahada. The saint who is supposed to go to the Hadaratul Ilahiya is notified of his invitation 2 days before the session, that is to say, on Tuesday before the meeting. The information is transmitted to him by an angel. This notification is special. It does not take place in a dream or daydream, but it happens in a waking state, through what is called Fathul Kabir. This is the ability of the holy man to see the invisible. This ability will have removed all the veils that prevented him from seeing the Ghaib world and communicating with the creatures that live in it. The angel who notifies the invitation to the holy man can take different forms. He can be in human form, For example, in the person of a spiritual guide. He can also take the form of the Qutb Zaman or any other wali. In all cases, it is a person who attends the Hadaratul Ilahiya. The angel addresses the holy man in these terms: the light of the Salatul Fatiha, which you perform the zikr, and which is collected in your soul, is now sufficient to allow you to be among the close ones to Allah. For this reason, I have been instructed to tell you that we will come to take you after tomorrow, Thursday, at 12:30 to attend the next meeting of the Hadaratul Ilahiya. The angel says those words and then disappears. Even if the saint asked him questions to find out more, he will not answer. His mission is very precise and is limited to notifying the saint concerned of the invitation, nothing more. One can therefore easily guess the stress and eagerness of the holy man for the next step. On Thursday, D-Day, at midnight, time of the country where the Qutb Zaman resides, the holy man from his room, and in spite of the wall of his ceiling, suddenly realizes that his sight is transforming. It becomes piercing and seems to have no limit. He begins to see the invisible. The veils that obstructed his view are now removed. This is the life-size demonstration of his fathu. It will last half an hour to allow him to familiarize himself with this new faculty.
At 12:30 a.m., the spherical ball of light, the Inayatul Rabbaniya, appears before him and unfolds like a prayer mat. At this moment, the saint recognizes the voice which had spoken to him the previous Tuesday. This one says to him again, "Marhaban, ya Sayyidi." In an irresistible way, the saint gets up and takes off his shoes. Note that no one can enter the ghaib world with shoes on. He sits down on the prayer mat. The ball of light closes immediately and starts its ascent. It then crosses the ceiling of the room where the saint is without damaging anything, and then heads towards the sky. As it approaches the clouds, the saint sees writing in Arabic characters appearing inside the ball of light, which appears intermittently at Tayyib al-Muttayyab. This is the light of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Immediately, an exquisite fragrance is released. This is the fragrance of the noble body of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Another remarkable phenomenon occurs. No matter how the man of God is dressed, the traveler's clothes turn into a white jalaba. Also, the saint sees his image on the walls of the ball of light as with a mirror. He is radiant and shines like a light whose intensity increases as it goes along. This image of a radiant person crossing the heavens is similar to that of the pure and approved soul. But this extraordinary ascension experience is special. Indeed, if at the same time another person came to visit the holy man in his room in the Shahada world, he would not find him there. This is why the saints prefer to isolate themselves on Thursday and Friday nights, fearing that this absence will worry their wives or relatives. The affirmation of this physical ascension, that is to say of both body and soul, is unprecedented, since most others maintain that the ascension to the invisible world concerns only the soul. The Hudbul Aktabul Kabir, the others, all these revelations answers them no. The soul can travel alone, but it can also travel with the body according to the mystical dimensions of the saints in question. The soul that travels during sleep belongs to the Hayal, the hidden realm of dreams. The presence of the Hadaratul Ilahiya is not only a matter for men, it also concerns women Women who regularly perform the zikr of the Salatul Fatiha can also attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya, but only their souls are present. They see and hear everything that happens there. The same is true for men who dream of Hadaratul Ilahiya but cannot attend. This means that they have not yet reached the required level. Hence, the recommendation to them is to show more willpower and increase the volume of zikr of the Salatul Fatiha. In other words, anyone can reach Hadaratul Ilahiya. It is just a matter of willpower and a practice of zikr under the guidance of a true spiritual master. Let's come back to our ascent. The Inayatul Rabbaniyu crosses the first, second, and third heavens to finally stop at the fourth. It opens and spreads out before the saint. It takes the form of a prayer mat at the beginning of this journey. Leaving his Inayatul Rabbaniyu, the holy man hears a voice. He recognized it immediately, since it was the voice of the angel who had notified him of his invitation 2 days earlier. But this time, the voice indicates a door, that of the seat of the great hidden pole. He is asked to go there for a preliminary check. The verification is carried out at the entrance of the headquarters called Zawiya by 2 angels in charge of inspecting the saint. From this moment, 2 decisions can be taken: the probation or the authorization to enter the Zawiya. Indeed, some saints, once they arrived at the door of the Zawiya, were refused entry after the inspection. The verdict is then final and immediate. In an irresistible way, the Inayatul Rabbaniyu takes them back and returns them to their homes. This is clearly a punishment. It can be justified by a dispute between the saint in question and the Hudbu Zaman. This sanction is called Tad. It also strikes the saints who venture to criticize the Hudbu Zaman. The aspirant to spiritual elevation must therefore refrain from criticizing the man of God, because among them is the Hudbu Zaman. Another sanction can strike the chosen one of God. It is the Hizlan, which is a close and constraining surveillance of the angels towards the saint in question. His science or even his wisdom may be judged insufficient. The fear is to see him divulge or try to divulge information intended to remain secret. Once the verification is complete, the permission to enter the Zawiya of the great hidden pole is granted. This is the obligatory passage to reach the 5th heaven. In other words, it is the great hidden pole that authorizes attendance at the Hadaratul Ilahiya. At the exit of the 5th heaven, the guest sees a beautiful white room of oval shape. This room is estimated to be 300 square meters in size. The entrance door of this room is guarded by 2 angels, armed with 2 white spears comparable to the angels who guard the Kaaba. When they reach the door, the 2 angels call the guest by name. It may happen that the saint is called by a name of which he was not aware. Indeed, it is necessary to make a distinction between the mystical name and the baptismal name. Let's take the example of a saint whose baptismal name given by his biological father is Usman. When he arrives at the front door of the hall, one can be surprised if he is called by the name of Muhammad by the 2 angels. This is explained by the fact that the guest in question is the spiritual son of a holy man from the world of lights. The latter gave him the mystical name of Muhammad and then formed his spiritual without him being aware of it. He will discover his mystical name the day he will present himself for the first time at the entrance of the Hadaratul Ilahiya. However, the names are often identical. Indeed, many saints keep their baptismal name. Once all the checks have been carried out, and the name of the saint confirmed, the latter is taken in charge and installed in the place reserved for him. It is important to emphasize that the seat numbers in this hall are exclusive. Anyone who, through careless or boasting, claims a seat number that is not his or her own, in public or in private, runs a serious risk. The holy man to whom the number is actually attributed is immediately informed of the usurpation. For the guilty party, the punishment will not be long in coming. Therefore, one should not pretend to attend the Hadaratul Ilahiya when it is not the case. On the contrary, one should persevere in the practice of zikr and pray to God to facilitate access to this magnificent hall. We have come to the end of the presentation of the first part of the Hadaratul Ilahiya, namely the stages of spiritual education, at the end of which the holy man is notified of his invitation, his ascension, until he is installed in his numbered and reserved place. In the next video, we will discuss the second part of the presentation of this heavenly assembly through its history, its development, and its future. This story is taken from the teachings of our honorable guide, Qutbul Aktabul Kabir. Thank you for your attention and see you soon on your channel, Mahdi's Teachings.